College football best bet angles for Thursday night. We got 4 games on the slate. Last night, 1-0, Chris Knight, as we had Middle Tennessee State. They came in and cashed for us, getting the 3, lost by 2. Cha-ching. Click that like, hit subscribe. This is Break the Board Sports, where we help you become a better handicapper. Yes, we give you our leans, we give you our picks. However, this is more about giving you trends and angles to help you become a better handicapper. So let's get into these first 4 games. Louisiana Tech at Kennesaw State. Right now at DraftKings, Louisiana Tech laying 6, over under 46.5. Now, I do want to caution, if you like La Tech, there's some 5.5s out there. So one of my biggest rules in gambling is have different sources to bet. Don't get boxed in by one book. I know that's a pretty common rule, but I like to just go over it and make sure you get the best of the number and you're not hampered by one book, whether by line or by juice. But right now, for argument's sake, Louisiana Tech laying 6, 75% of the tickets and 61% of the handle to La Tech, 25% of bets and 39% of the handle to Kennesaw State. Now, that over under 46.5, 67% of bets and 52% of the handle going to La Tech, 33% of bets and 48% of the handle going to Kennesaw State in this one. Couple betting trends for you. La Tech 5-0 straight up their last 5 against the number. 4-1 straight up their last 5 in those 5 games. Now, on the road, been a little different. La Tech's really struggled. 3-17 straight up their last 20 road games. Kennesaw State, they've just been bad all around. 5-15 straight up their last 20. However, ATS, they fared pretty well at home over their last 6, going 5-1. And against Conference USA opponents, 5-2 against the spread is Kennesaw State. Now, as far as head-to-head, these teams met one time. It was last year at La Tech, a game La Tech absolutely dominated, 33-0, just walking the dog on Kennesaw State. If you look at this, as far as inside the numbers, La Tech, they're gaining 312 yards of total offense per game. Kennesaw State, 355 yards per game offensively. Defensively, La Tech giving up 346. Kennesaw State giving up 403. As far as points, La Tech, 28 points per game offensively compared to Kennesaw State that only gives up 23. And then Kennesaw State, offensively, averaging 19 points a game. La Tech only giving up 43. Now, I'll just tell you right now, looking at that and a couple other things, I would definitely take a peek at the under 47. I'm looking right now. There's a couple 47s out there. If you can find that, I think that's a good number. I don't think you're going to see a ton of points between these two teams. As a matter of fact, Kennesaw State, we talked about their last 10 games, 7-3 to the under. La Tech, their last 10 games, 7-3 to the under. When you look at those points per game, I think 47 is going to be a stretch for them to get to. We talked about last 10 games on the road for La Tech. They're 2-8. The last 10 games for Kennesaw State, when they're a dog, straight up 3-7. La Tech, when they're the favored, straight up 7-3. 6 of those coming in a row. Again, though, when you look at when La Tech's a favorite, the unders 7-3 to the under on that one. But straight up, La Tech, when they're on the road as a road favorite, 3-7 straight up, 3-7 ATS. Again, just want to hit on that. As a home team dog, Kennesaw State, 4-4, 500 over the last 8. So to me, we'll go ahead. We'll lean under 47. We'll make that a single unit play here, under 47 in the La Tech Kennesaw State game. Again, click that like, hit subscribe. Let's move on over to the second game of the night. East Carolina Pirates visiting Tulane. This one is stayed at 6.5 pretty much all week long. 53.5 is the over-under. 68% of tickets and 72% of the money going to the over in this one. 32% of tickets and 28% of the handle flowing to the under. Now, as far as that spread of 6.5, the Green Wave getting the bets and the money, 74% of the tickets, 68% of the money for the Tulane Green Wave, 26% of tickets and only 32% of the handle to the East Carolina Pirates in this one. 6.5 flat across the board. I don't see a 7 in this anywhere. Doesn't mean there isn't one. I just don't see one. East Carolina 5-1 against the spread their last 6 overall, 8-3 straight up their last 11. However, against Tulane has dominated East Carolina. 5-1 straight up over the last 6 meetings, and Tulane's been really good against the spread. 12-6 over their last 18 games overall. 12-3 straight up their last 15. Now, the under, head-to-head, the under has cashed 6 of the last 7 times that these two teams have clashed. Tulane and East Carolina, they didn't play last year, but going back to 2023 at East Carolina, Tulane 13-10. Before that, 24-9. Before that, East Carolina won in 2021. So when I look down through their scores, when you look at this 6, kind of spotty. If you just want to take, 10 years is rough, but they've played 4 of the last 5 years. In 3 of those 4 times, the spread of 6.5 has gotten blown out of the water between these two teams. So it's really hard to look at and say, hey, there's something there, right? Now, East Carolina, they've hit the first quarter. Now, your first quarter over-under is 10.5. East Carolina's hit that in 6 straight road games. That would put you up 6.5 units, 101% return on your investment. That'd be pretty awesome. We talked about East Carolina not being good against the spread against Tulane, but however, they've been good against the spread overall. They've hit the spread 10 of their last 14 games, put you up 5.6 units, a 36% return on your investment. The first half under has cashed in East Carolina games 5 of the last 7 on the road, put you up 2.85 units, 36% return on your investment on that one. When you click over, couple inside the numbers here for the Pirates and Tulane over their last 10 games overall. Again, I think 10-game trends are good because they're more of a closer snapshot as to what's been going on now. When you have a big rivalry like Ohio State, Michigan, you can go back a little longer, right? But these ones where there's some recency, I just use those. Now, East Carolina and Tulane over their last 10, again, straight up. East Carolina 7-3. Tulane 6-4 against the spread. 7-3 East Carolina, 5-5 Tulane. So a little bit better for the Pirates. Now the last 10 games is a favorite. We talked about that. Tulane 8-2 straight up, but just 6-4 ATS. And as a dog, 2 straight losses in a row for East Carolina. Again, the unders keep popping up. As a dog, East Carolina 8-2 to the under. As a road dog for East Carolina, 7-3 to the under. Tulane, as a home favorite, 8-2 to the under. So a lot of things pointing to the under here. Tulane's been good straight up at home, has not been so good against the spread, however. When I look at this game, again, we're setting at the total of 53.5. And East Carolina plus 6.5. I think if you could find a 7, I would lean the Pirates. I wouldn't lay it with Tulane. I'm not going to play this game, but if I had a lean, I would take the Pirates plus 7. And all those under trends got me really thinking. So the only fear there is if you get in a 31-24 game and I get bit. Now, I'm not a big person on teasers whatsoever in college football. I love them in the NFL. It'd make a lot of profit. Actually, we have a teaser show coming out tomorrow you guys are going to love. Really good stuff in the NFL. But in college, teasers just don't seem to work out very often. But I wouldn't hate you if you took the under 59.5 or 60.5 in a 6 or 7 point teaser. You would just have to find a dance partner there to go with it. Maybe you find somebody like a Rutgers plus 17.5 tomorrow night, or you do something taking South Florida up to 8.5. 7.5 tomorrow night visiting North Texas. Can't wait to have that show released for you tomorrow. Next game on the board, Southern Miss at Georgia Southern. Southern Miss laying 3, catching 72% of bets, 79% of the money. You're over under 60.5. Georgia Southern, they're getting 28% of tickets and only 21% of the handle. Now that over under is 60.5, 43% of tickets, but 77% of the handle to the over. 57% of the tickets, but 23% of the handle to the under. Always gives me pause there when those are lopsided. Southern Miss, it's really hard to take their old trends because new coach comes in from Marshall, brings in a bunch of transfers. Boom, all of a sudden, Southern Miss goes from the worst team to the conference to fighting for to be one of the best teams in the conference. So they're 0-8 the last 8 games on the road and 3-12 straight up the last 15 games and 1-9 straight up the last 10 for the Sun Belt Conference. Those are my trends I have for you, but it's really hard to use those. Anytime you have a new coach in the roster now with NIL and the transfer portal, you really got to, as much as I'm a trend and a numbers guy, you really got to be careful because you can get led astray pretty quick. Georgia Southern, however, 6-1 straight up their last 7 at home for them. Now, a little bit inside the numbers. There's a couple 3.5s out there if you do like the dog Georgia Southern. Coming into this game, Southern Miss 3-2, both straight up in ATS. Georgia Southern 2-3, both straight up in ATS. Now, head to head, these two teams have never played each other, so good, nothing that we can pull from there. Obviously, over the last 10 games, let me just refresh this here. Over the last 10 games, got a couple different things you can look at to help you here. But I think that getting Georgia Southern by more than a field goal could be a good way to go. Remember, they played some higher competition, had to play the USCs of the world and whatnot. Again, the last 10 games for Southern Miss can't really count because they're 3-2 with the new coach. So I just want to focus on Georgia Southern because I feel like giving you Southern Miss's stuff kind of leads you astray. Straight up at home, Georgia Southern 7-3. ATS at home, last 10 for Georgia Southern, 7 wins, 2 losses, and a push. They've been very good there. The last 10 games as a dog, 5-5. Last 10 games as a home underdog for Georgia Southern, 6-4 against the spread. Not going to have a play on this one either. Again, here's a rule for you. Our greatest advantage, the biggest advantage we have over the books and trying to beat the books is we get to decide which games we want to bet, meaning we don't have to make a bet. I think a lot of people, we live in a society, cell phones are in our hands all the time, right? Social media, all that. So we feel like we got our DraftKings, our FanDuels, our BetMGMs, or whatever. We just fire. It's not like back in the day where you actually had to pick up the phone, call, leave your bets on a voice recorder, or call Vito and tell him, hey, I want this, or hey, what line can you give me on this? So you don't always have to fire on every single game. That's our biggest advantage we have over the books. Trust your handicapping. I break down every game. Trust what your handicapping is. Again, Georgia Southern, if you get a 3.5, I would lean that way. So again, I like under 47 in the Kennesaw State game. That is a single unit play that will give out. But leans, East Carolina, just not an official play, but a lean. East Carolina +7, that would be a lean. Georgia Southern +3.5 would be my lean in that one. Last game on the board, Jacksonville State and Sam Houston State. Jacksonville State comes in 2-3 straight up in ATS. Sam Houston State 0-5 straight up, 0-5 ATS. Just an absolute not been good with the new coach. Jacksonville State right now laying 7.5. They're getting 74% of tickets and 78% of the handle. 26% of the tickets and 22% of the handle to the Bearcats of Sam Houston State. That over-under sets at 54.5. It's split 50-50 down the middle. Here's the issue. 77% of the money off the 50-50 split, 77% of the money is going to the under, 23% to the over here. So the way that looks, books are going to need some help there catching the over in that one for sure. Jacksonville State, 2-5 straight up their last 7. Jacksonville State has not been going the road. 1-4 against the spread their last 5 road games. But against Conference USA, Jacksonville State's been phenomenal. 13-1 straight up over their last 14. Sam Houston State, we talked about 0-5 ATS and 0-5 straight up to start the year. And all 5 of their last 5 home games have went under the total. Sam Houston State Bearcats have really, really struggled. Now, straight up, though, as a home team, they do have 8 wins over their last 10. So a little better there as far as that goes. On the road, ATS, Jacksonville State, we talked about that, 3-7 on the road for them. Jacksonville State, when they're in the favored role, 8 straight wins when they're favored, so they win the games they should. Last 10 games as a home team underdog, there's only 7 to pull from statistically for D1 purposes. 4-3 straight up for the Bearcats on this one. Dive a little bit more into some stats here to kind of help you out on this. These two teams have played the past 2 years. Jacksonville State last year at Jacksonville State won 21-11. The year before, back in 2023, at Sam Houston State, this game went to overtime. Jacksonville State winning the game 35-28. When you go a little bit inside the numbers, Jacksonville State, their offense averaging 405 yards per game compared to Sam Houston's defense giving up 456. Sam Houston's offense, they're only gaining 275 per game, which is wild because their new head coach, very offensive-minded, ex-offensive coordinator. But Jacksonville State giving up 395 yards defensively giving up 395 yards. Here's where the rubber meets the road. We talked about Sam Houston State. They're only averaging 15 points a game. Jacksonville State is giving up 27 points per game. Jacksonville State double the point production. They're averaging 29.6 as to where Sam Houston State has just given up a ton of points. Again, Sam Houston State just off to a really tough start. With that being said, when you look, I want to go back to the splits. And again, you can't always do that. But when the sports book needs a need, they don't build those nice, beautiful buildings, the Circas, the MGMs, the Bellagios of the world off the public winning. They just don't. 26% of tickets and 22% of the handle is on Sam Houston State. The books are going to need Sam Houston State. You're getting the 7.5. You're getting an 0-5 team at home. Jacksonville State hasn't been as good on the road, kind of sleepwalks into this. I'm sure Jacksonville State gets the win, but Sam Houston State, an official play tonight, plus 7.5, going to take the Bearcats. So we got 2 official plays, under 47 for a single unit in the Kennesaw State La Tech game. Sam Houston State plus 7.5 for a single unit. And then we're going to look 2 leans, not plays, but just leans if you want, if you're one of those degenerates that's got to bet every side. Or hopefully we gave you some trends if you were on the fence to help you take East Carolina or Tulane or the over or the under. Hopefully we did that for you. Click like, hit subscribe. We're going to lean East Carolina plus 7, Georgia Southern plus 3.5. Again, click that like, hit subscribe, Break the Board Sports, where we help you become a better handicapper. God bless and happy handicapping.